before we start, let me tell you this. Yesterday, I go on my normal walk, right?
No, you want to share this with everyone. You're going to want to share this with everyone.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, right? We're not doing that?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying let's not record this.
No, man, we're recording
Oh,
it.
okay.
What the hell are you doing?
All right.
Let's not edit any of this.
No, hell no. He doesn't get that privilege, Sean. No one gets that privilege.
They rarely let me out of the cage.
They rarely do. Anyways. I'm walking right in the morning. I go for my walk. This is going to be a 10-mile walk. I make it a point in my mind just so I don't get lazy. And
9 miles too long.
9 miles too long, you say? Hey man, you're in Canada, so all you do out there is walk.
No, we get pulled behind by those husky dogs. So
yes.
We do get really buff in the winter because we have to rebuild our homes every spring when they melt. So
dang, I know that snow is crazy over there.
You Eskimos.
Every time I hear Canada, I just think wilderness.
Yeah,
you forget that it's really civilized.
You get that
areas.
I bet you get that a lot, huh? People just like, oh, you're from Canada. How's the snow, eh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. What are you doing up there, eh? Yeah. You're chugging the maple syrup today.
Oh man, people in their ignorant ways, I suppose. But yeah, I'm walking yesterday, and something tells me to look up and to the right, and I do. And I at first thought it was a plane, but then I stopped, because it wasn't moving like a plane. And it I think it like noticed it, and it flew away from me in like this fishtail pattern. You know how when fish fly away or swim away from you in the water, they have that S movement about them.
Yeah.
So this object did that, really wide angles, and then it hooked to the left real quick and went into the cloud. And when it went into the cloud, it came back out of the cloud, taking some of the cloud with it. And I was able to, so I'm video recording this. I don't know how I caught it. I'm video recording this the second time I saw this thing. The first time I was just too captivated and mesmerized by what I was going through. And I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. And I said to myself out loud, oh shit, this is a UFO. And I called my brother because he disappeared behind the cloud again. And we're talking, and he's like, well, get your camera out and take a picture of it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, that was a one-time event. It's gone. Well, sure enough, we're on the phone, and the thing comes out of another cloud, not the one it went into, but this other cloud. And it was coming back to the original cloud that it left. And I didn't see any of that. So I pulled my phone out, and I recorded the area because I couldn't see it in the phone. So I just made sure it was facing the area that I was looking.
Yeah. And
I actually got a snippet of it. I got a still frame of it. I'm gonna have to send it to you. It's a speck. It's a speck. So what from my perspective,
looks like a orb,
right?
Like a white orb golf ball type.
But from my perspective, it was like as big as, you know, those propane tanks, not the home size ones, but the actual truckload propane tank.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Elongated tic tac type shape.
Yeah.
It was like that, but it had to have been maybe 10 or 12 of those in size. You know what I mean? And the whole thing was doing the S like a fish. Like the whole cylindrical thing was like weaving like a worm.
Oh, weird.
Right. And then so when it went into the cloud, it came back out. I'm going to send you a picture. It looks like a dot when I send it to you, but you can kind of tell that it's not a cloud, but you can see what it did to the cloud as it came out of it.
Oh, weird.
Weirdest thing I ever saw.
That's weird.
Mean, I was out today burning, and I'm still looking up, like just, it's hanging all over me, man.
I think if you spend 70% of your time looking up, you're bound to see a lot of things you were like, oh, well, shit, how long has that been there?
Right.
Yeah. I'm having this really slow period for weird experiences. I've been having lots of synchronicities and downloads and that sort of thing, but for like seeing things or having experiences with like entities or anything, it's been pretty mellow since February for me. Like I haven't seen nothing in the sky lately. My my partner, she lives in Germany, and she was taking her daughter to school. This was only last week, and she saw a black UFO, and it was almost looks like it had almost like tentacles, but it was solid. And then there was an orb with it too. And her daughter saw it too. She couldn't. She tried to take a photo, but by time, as soon as she took out her phone, it disappeared, of course. And then she was going to take another one because it reappeared. And she just got to the school, and her daughter jumped out of the car. Was like yelling at all of her friends. She's like, "Do you see that? Do you see that UFO and everything?" And no one looked up or anything. So it's I find it interesting because when I saw one of my UFOs, it looked like a football, except it was white, huge, like a 747. And my wife at the time, she couldn't look up either. So I always find that really weird that some people are allowed to see it and some people aren't.
Don't you think these things are tied to our consciousness?
I was just going to say some sort of telepathic.
It has to be. Like the moment you want to do something like take a picture or do something on the offensive, you know what I mean? Like, it
has to be. I know when I was really, what was this? I think I went camping by myself. I think it was March, and I was meditating because I really wanted to have something happen that day. And so I meditated for like 8 hours in the snow by a fire for like 8 hours. And it's like the longest I've ever meditated. Usually I can only meditate for like 30 minutes. But I was like super determined. I really wanted something to happen. And I meditated. Nothing was happening. And I was like, okay, well, fuck this CE5 stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll just give it one more shot. And the sun had gone down and there were stars everywhere. And I kept like opening my eyes and looking at this one star. And it kept drawing my attention. So I was just sitting there meditating, and then I'd look, and then I'd go back to meditation, and then I'd look, and then finally I looked, and the star almost like turned on, like it went like 100 times brighter, and it got bigger, and then started moving, and it started doing this like circle and everything, and making almost like a figure 8, and then it seemed to come closer and closer, and then all of a sudden it felt like I didn't see like a beam of light, but it felt like a beam of light was on me. And I was like, holy shit, like this is awesome. So I went to go take out my phone, and as soon as I got my phone up, it blinked up. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, okay.
Yep.
I was like, okay, this is just for me. So then I put it away, and it came back. And then there was eight spikes started to grow on it. And it became like, you know, in the biblical like paintings, they always have a star that looks like stars that have like these spikes on it.
Yep.
Well, I've never seen that before, but these ones like so if the star was this big, the spikes were as like big as my fingers, so it was like that, and there's 8 of them, and I got this overwhelming sense of like love and that I'm not alone. And then it slowly receded, and then that was it.
I said the same thing yesterday. I was like, oh, obviously this must be just for me. Because when it came back for the second time, I was just like, I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass because I wish I would have spent more time looking at it than trying to capture it.
Yeah.
Because it's probably we've seen a couple before this. So I'm not going to say, but I mean, it may be my last time I ever see one, but I've never seen one like this, and it was just really, really, it was just reality breaking. Just like disbelief.
Do you guys ever feel like it's kind of like training you, almost like because I don't know about you guys, but it feels like for right now I'm like it's trying to force, or not force, but make me live more in the moment instead of like in the past or in the future. So
go ahead, finish.
Just so like when you were talking about that, it just kind of remind, instead of trying to capture it, you're supposed to like feel it and experience it instead of trying to capture it, I guess. Cause like it seems like it's only for us. It's really weird.
I learned my lesson. I tell you that.
So when this was last summer, the wife and I went to go see Diana Krall live in
oh, cool.
Indiana. And I really wanted to pull my phone out and record just 30 seconds of it. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to live in this moment. We paid for a ticket to be here.
Yeah.
This is truly, it's like a personal experience. I'm just going to view this for me and have this memory for me.
Mm-hmm.
I took a couple of pictures of the stage when no one is on it and it looked badass, you know? It kind of had me manifesting like, that's what I want to do. I want to be on the stage and have people waiting eagerly to see me perform, you know? And when it came on, I was just like, yeah, there's no way you really want to share this. Like, how could you really share it? You know, the experience of being there. And then, so I just started thinking, yeah, some things just doesn't have to be reported to friends and family. Like, gather your own experience from this planet and try to keep as much with you as possible. Not everything, but something special. Maybe it's just for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally believe that. I guess this makes me think about talking about, like, we were just before we started recording talking about the NDE thing, and how I know for myself, I'm getting almost tired of saying it. Did you feel like you had like a push to share your NDE? Because I know for myself, it really felt like it. And now that I have, and I think enough people have seen it, that now I just like, I just don't have this same desire to share it or talk about it anymore.
I think whether it gave you a push or not, the experience was so real, you had to tell somebody because it's that profound. You just can't keep that in.
Yeah.
So whether it was the universe or God pushing you to tell someone, or you just really needed to let that out, either way, I think that's healthy. And I think the experience that we both had needs to be shared for a lot of people so they don't become fearful of it. But as of right now, remember, like I was telling you, man, I was looking high and low on the internet for about 2 or 3 years. It consumed me of just looking at near-death experience videos, and just, that's all I wanted to think about. That's all, that was like literally everything I looked forward to. I got to a point, I was just like, and I told my story so many times, I was just like, I think I'm done. Like, I think I am mentally fatigued. So I told myself, I'm not going to watch any more near-death experience videos. I'm not really going to tell my story as much, because I found myself living the afterside life versus this physical life. Like, it was distracting me from just focusing on my life here on Earth, you know? And I was just like, I'm done. So every now and then, if someone asks, or if a friend of a friend refers them, I'll tell my story.
Yeah.
But if I'm to tell someone like out on the street, I'm definitely giving them a synopsis. I'm not going into the full ride, because it's emotionally draining, because when you tell it, it takes you back there.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And you can feel all that, you know? It's like there's a tether still anchoring me down. So yeah, I agree, man. I'm with you on that. But when you get like you and I on here who have the same kind of walk of life, very adjective friendly, you know, a lot of people that have these experiences, they don't want to say fuck, you know, just what's wrong with you? You know, it doesn't have to change who you are.
No. And
that's the best part. The universe loved me for who I was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like warts and all. I fucked up so much in my life, and yet it seemed like it was okay. It's just another learning experience. Everybody fucks up. Everybody does something they regret. Everybody does, like, everybody's an asshole at least once. I was an asshole a lot. Like, and it didn't seem to matter. And yeah, like we always think like you always have to be, well, this has been a pattern, I guess, and a thing I've been talking a lot about lately is about, you have to, like, this perfectionism, like we all seem to, and social media really shows it, like you have to have this like perfect life on like the lens, like that outside view. And but when you actually go through that, it doesn't, you don't have to be perfect at all. You're perfect the way you are right at this second, that sort of thing.
Right.
And
yeah,
so I know you guys are fatigued with telling the story. So for those that don't know, I'm going to ask you guys to, go through it again so we are clear that everyone understands, like, what this means, because for both of you guys to be so fatigued, it still represents something for someone out there.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, cue the intro. Before you start, cue the intro, then he's going to do his intro. You just wanted to throw us right in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Put a little fucking Crisco on us, my good sir, before you fry it up.
Welcome back to the podcast. And today we have Alex.
Alex? It's Sean.
Sean. See, I don't even know what I'm... This is what happens. This is what happens.
Today we have Sean.
When they let me out of the cage.
Sean will give his last name, but today he's just Sean, and I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable with that.
Where did the name Alex come from? Did one of you guys mention Alex?
No. Are you on this?
Are you sure?
Oh my God.
Okay.
We'll just all call each other Alex for today.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Alex podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome back to the Alexis.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Sean, we'll start that over. You guys ready? Okay. Welcome back to the podcast. And today we have Sean. I don't even know Sean's last name because they didn't tell me his last name.
No, it's all a mystery.
It's all a mystery. Right. I like it. I don't like scripts.
Right.
I'm not robotic.
Right.
That's right.
Most of the time when I'm introducing people, I don't even know their last name. I just say, hey, it's Sean John.
Yeah, it's funny.
Just throw it out there. Yeah. Sean has a podcast. What's the name of the podcast, Sean?
It's Our Collective Experiences on the YouTubes.
Yeah, and we met by a good friend. Her name is Heather, which you guys probably know. We did a podcast together, but she felt deep within her bosom that we would get along well and that we have this story that we both would like to tell. Again, a lot of you know mine, but you don't necessarily may not know Sean's, and Sean's people may not know mine. So yeah. So we're here collabing, and we're doing what did you call this? A swap pod?
A pod swap, yeah.
A pod swap. Yeah. We're doing a pod swap. Go ahead, Sean.
So I'm Sean from Our Collective Experiences, and with me today is the Dixon brothers. So introduce yourselves.
Wait, I don't like it that you know our last name and remembered it. But we totally.
It's fine, baby.
I can see you right now putting your finger to his lips.
Yeah.
I'm Lamar. I'm the guy that had the near-death experience.
I'm Lamont. I'm the guy who didn't have the near-death experience.
But together, I guess it's a shared experience because I told him about the story. So we're going to chalk it up as a twin shared experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
do you want to start?
I can start. Have you heard my story yet, Sean?
Yeah, so I listened to it on your podcast. So I didn't listen to anybody else's. I just wanted to listen. The one where you had the buddy that you met, but you went down to his house. Oh,
yes. Yeah, John Parfait. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And I'll probably pepper in my own questions as well.
Yeah. Anytime, stop me. Because I don't really, you know.
I know.
Yes. Because I've told it so much, I'm gonna highlight all the key moments that I think the people should really take away from it and what they should know. So for the quick gist of it, I've suffered from sleep apnea for quite some time. I have, per my ex-wife, been known to stop breathing at night when I'm sleeping because she would give me the sharp elbow and she would say shit like, roll over, you're not breathing. Like, well, who wants to hear that waking up, you know? So I guess this particular night, she's either like just fast asleep and she didn't notice anything. I know I'm laying up, I'm sitting up in bed, kind of like laying down, and I'm dreaming. And I still can't remember what the dream was, but I know that my dream was abruptly interrupted by me leaving my body. Now, the dream world and the spirit world and the physical world all hold their same weight as far as perception of realness, right?
Yep.
The other side was so goddamn real. It made the reality world seem like it was the dream world, and then the dream world was just part of the imagination of the physical world. I instantly knew in this space that I shed my body because I said, "Oh shit, I'm dead." But then I thought to myself, well, how could that be? I'm saying things like, "Oh shit, I'm dead." Like, so obviously I'm not dead, you know, and I'm still here. And it was at that realization where I noticed that I was in space and I was in this void, this like dark space. And it was just pure consciousness. And then like the contrast of it all became like literal space. I could see galaxies. I could see planets. I can see and perceive all this stuff. And it's not like normal vision where you can look like with your peripherals or you can look straight like linear. It's like I had this 360 degree perception of my consciousness all the way around me. Like I can perceive what was behind me because there was no behind, because I was like kind of everything in this space. I was the space, so to speak. When I was having that realization, I saw Earth over here in the background. I started telling myself, and I'm going to chalk it up to my life review. I started telling myself, damn, I wanted to do that, or how come I didn't do this? And damn, Lamar, you were supposed to do that. You wanted to do that, but why didn't you do it? And as I'm saying that, it was like a higher self behind me saying that same thing, saying like, hey, look, you wanted to go down here and do this, and now you're not doing it. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like you said you wanted to do it, but you're not living it. Not in like a reprimanding type of voice, but it was trying to like remind me and assure me like, hey, did you still want to do this? Or like, I mean, we know you're up to it. And it,
or do you want to?
Right. Or do you want to just wipe this one away and start afresh? Like that's how easy it could have been.
Yeah.
But it was whatever it was, my higher self, I have to believe it was my higher self. It was holding me accountable. And I remember actually thinking, well, I mean, if you give me a little advice, or I forgot, obviously, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm having this conversation and I'm noticing that I'm not a part of the human connection anymore. And I noticed that all my earth views and ideals are gone, and I don't have time to think about my brother, and I don't have time to think about the wife and kids or my family at this time, because where I'm at in space, it literally was like beckoning me. It was demanding my attention. Like you could not look at it. I was outside of some shit where I've never been exposed to as far as I knew, you know? And I'm looking at it all like with my mouth open and just like captivated by it all. And I just like slowly started coming back. And then that's when I got this like huge blanket of love wrapped around me as I'm still like going in on myself a little bit of like, I'll never judge again. Like, why would I judge them? I was just judging myself, and kind of had a sneak peek of who I really was. And this big blanket of love, like, encapsulated me. And it didn't, like, there was no words said there, right? You don't have vocal cords. Like, everything was through thought or expression.
Yeah.
And the blanket of love, I don't know who that was today. Could have been my higher self just comforting me. Could have been a God figure. Could have been a guardian angel. Anything, source itself. When I got that blanket of love, it just melted away all my fears. And it was just like, you can leave that earth shit there. You don't have to worry about that anymore. That's how far wrapped up you were into that. Like, it holds zero weight here. And it felt like the universe was tailoring itself to my beliefs to make me comfortable in the space that I was at. You know, like, it knew everything about me. Like, there was
100%.
like, there was no hiding this.
Yeah.
And I felt so exposed, like, oh my God, I can't even like lie to myself anymore. Like, I have to face myself.
Mm-hmm.
So going through that and feeling comforted, I kind of was like, and I'm looking at like these galaxies, and I felt like I was like the galaxy of consciousness. I am consciousness. I am me. Like, I didn't know there was a me inside of me type of thing. And I'm all of it. And I could perceive planets and galaxies. Like, if I looked at them, they would come like zooming in and zoom out. If I was focusing on that particular thing, it was like all at my beckoning. I was so huge, so big at the same time, you know? And while I'm doing that, I kind of like looked down at my feet. But it's weird to say that because I had no feet. I had no body, but I still felt like the imprint of my body.
Yeah.
And I looked down at my feet, my perceivable feet, and they're not there, but there's this tunnel. And this tunnel had like, it was like a glass tunnel, and it had like this smoke vapor that would go from like this end of the cosmos all the way to that end of the cosmos. So I could like see the end of both, like how far out it was. And I was blown away by that. But I was looking at the tunnel, and then while I'm looking at it, I had some sort. I guess I've had to had like curiosity of what's in the tunnel, because I looked at it and said, "Oh, that's a tunnel," and then instantly I'm in it. So it's like you don't have to think about moving when you're there. You just think about it, and you're there. So I'm landed in the tunnel. And I'm in it, and I'm going off to my whatever my left is, which makes no sense because there's no direction, right? Everything is just all the way like this spherical number game. And I'm going to the left in this tunnel, and I'm moving at a very high rate of speed. And I can look out, and I can see like flashes of like stars and galaxies and planets and the smoke vapor above me going this way. And I was thinking to myself, oh, this must be the tunnel that people say they see before they die and they go to heaven. Like, I'm having these conscious thoughts in this place. Weird as shit. And I'm in it, and I'm going up and down these hills, these like fictitious hills, and I'm maxing out at the precipice, and I'm coming like a roller coaster ride, like a slide, you know? That movie Contact, it was kind of like that, but it was it was a different view. I got a different vantage point.
It's almost like Stargate too, I guess, too, eh?
Right, like a Stargate, but it was kind of like the tunnel didn't exist behind me, I want to say. I didn't look back at it, but I felt like the tunnel I was in it, but I was like the end of the tunnel pushing to where it had to go, if that makes sense. And then I'm rounding out this curve to my left, and I see this like globular. Oh, when I'm in this tunnel, like all my life past and like my life story was being downloaded to me. Like, I was like, oh, that's what I was supposed to do. And I was remembering who I was. And so when I got to the end and it kicked me off to the left, I saw these colors, these array of colors before this globular planet thing started to pop up, this golden turquoise thing. And I started seeing these colors, but these colors like were different. And I'm not even sure if they're colors because there's like, it's so new and foreign to me. I don't know how to describe them, you know, but I know it's a color that I've never seen before. And I remember telling myself, oh, I didn't know color could look like that or do that or whatever. Like the color had consciousness, you know, like the color was loving. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I could just look at this color forever. Like I could sit here for the ends of time just looking at color. That's how real and how far off I was from Earth and whatever Earth had to resemble. And I was just blown away by it. And then it kicked me like a chair, like to the planet. And then as I'm getting closer to this pulsating planet, I feel pieces of me being particleized out like Star Trek. You know how they like get beamed up into the ship?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They break down by the molecule and the atom. Well, it's coming out of my solar plexus like it's like this stream, like essences of me going in to this planet. And I felt the point where I was just going to give up and go with it. Like just let everything relax and go limp and just go with it and let it just take me all. Because it was like this sucking sensation. But right before I could do that, it's like this big giant ass hand came in and gathered all that shit up and put it right back in my chest. And no words, mind you, just through expression, I can feel the like radiating love of expression talking to me, saying, if you go beyond this point, I can't bring you back. We can't bring you back. Like, that'll be it. It's not your time now. You've already explained to us that you have to go back. It wasn't until later where I thought about this more, because I always used to say I didn't get a choice, right? I didn't get a choice if I wanted to stay or go. And I actually did. I actually did have a choice, and it knew everything about me. Because in the beginning of my experience, I said, oh shit, I wanted to do this. And why didn't I do that? So it already knew I wasn't ready. That's how far ahead this consciousness knows us, I already gave my answer before I can even get the question. And it was like, you're not ready. You have to go back. And I just remember it like shoving me away back into the tunnel. Well, at that time, it was kind of like being denied. I always give the example of the kid that was bracing his or herself going to Disneyland. They had all winter long to build up to that moment, and they're in the car. The family got you the Mickey Mouse ears. You got your shit. You're ready to go. You got your fucking ticket, and they say, "Oh, you know what? We're closed today. You can't come in. Sorry, you have to go home." That was the kind of defeat I was like dealing with. I'm like, I came all this way, and why not? Obviously, it's home for me too. Like, I can just go. Like, you don't even have to step aside. I'll just go. And so it wasn't that case. Now it shot me back through the tunnel faster than when I got there. I don't even know how that was possible. And I'm feeling streams of rush of air coming from behind me. And I feel all the bullshit of Earth coming back, and all my download, all my shit that I knew that it gave me disappeared. It was like all being stripped away.
Yeah.
And then boom, I'm slammed back into this meat sack. And I was so big outside of it. I thought, how could I fit in this? Like, what the fuck? How do you fit in this shit? And it was just like dainty, and just the stress and the fucking hormones and the nastiness of my ego and my mood and the world. It all came back. And I was just like, no. It was just like, oh, I don't want to be back here. Why am I back here? Horrible, man. And so I had to fight that for a long time. I was like depressed. I told my brother about the story, but there's no way you can really tell the depression part of it, because you feel like you came so close to ending this shit. Like, you don't have to deal with life anymore. It's like a blessing. And I was always wanting to go back. And then I went down the fucking rabbit hole, and I spiraled, and I was NDE this and that, and told my story, which is all beneficial. And I felt like I was supposed to do that, but no one preps you from getting burnout, or from having to like relapse into the thought of going back, and how to stay with the physical world. Everybody always paints their story and tells it, and that's fine. But who's telling me how to cope with this shit later? How do you, and I know there's places you can go and they all talk about it, but I mean, who has time to do that or the finances to go somewhere else in a big mass setting and do that? So I eventually found Peter Panagor's near-death experience was similar to mine. And he really, really helped me because he was himself and he was down to earth, and he said that he still suffered from it and there was no easy fix, and it was a blessing and a curse. And I strongly agree with that. But after that, I slowly just found my own way back out of it. You know, now we focus. I tell you what, I retired law enforcement to push this podcast and do music with my brother. And he like left his, you know, high figured job. And we just went all in on this, feeling both of us the urge to push this agenda, to go out and find people and bring them in and have them tell us their story, that they're worth it, that their story, no matter how small it seems or trivial it seems to them, that it's worth it. And we all like walk the same path of life. We don't hold that many near-death experience stories on this channel because that's not where we want to take it per se, but we only allow so much in so people can become educated on it. We don't want to neglect it either, but I think that was the true path that I was supposed to do, is just reach as many people as I could with my story and just be my true self. Like I learned that not to be egotistical or judgmental, which at times we fall back into that because this is the human experience. So I forgive myself often along with others, you know. That's the story.
That's awesome. I really like the well, there's a lot I like about everything you said, but one thing that really sticks out to me is we seem to get obsessed with certain things. So like people seem to get like just focus on NDEs or just focus on UFOs or just focus on, but it's all the same sort of thing. It's all the same sort of piece of fabric from the same cloth sort of thing. That when you're in that black void, so I was in a black void too, when I'll tell my story too, but did it feel like there was others there too, not just yourself?
My higher self, or whoever that presence was, I was accountable to.
Yeah.
When I mean black, I mean, I could obviously still see it wasn't like completely black. It was black, but like even the void was like the consciousness, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like the void of, it's like the absence.
Right.
But filled.
Right.
I don't know how that makes sense, but that's what it felt like to me. It was like the absence of everything, but everything all at once. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. It was a void, but yet there was substance to it. Like there was things, like I was in it. Obviously it couldn't be a void of nothing because I'm in it. Yeah. But my void started to wash away a little bit and filter out. And then that's when all the galaxies and stars and planets came out. And I was just like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like just wild, man.
Afterwards, did you find you had any survivor's guilt?
I guess that was part of the whole depression, right? Yeah. Because like Peter Panagor and I joke, it's not really a fucking joke. If somebody came in here, a representative from the other side, and said, hey, you did a lot of what you set out to do, you ready to come home, I love everybody here, but I'm out. Like, yeah, let's go. I don't even got a pack. I can just get naked right now. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like that's how
peace.
Yeah, peace. That's how, but people like they need to know that. Like that's the reality of it. When I was there, I wanted to go home. And I still would. There was no stress there. It was just love there. Like, man, there's no denying it. I'll tell you that. And you could be atheist, skeptic. You cannot even believe. And I tell you, and I always say it, you don't have to believe, but the universe, source, God believes very much of you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And either way, you're going.
How, so you guys being twins, like how has it affected you now?
I don't think it's affected me much per se. The only thing that really affected me was these ear-ringing events that are now shared between us.
Yeah.
Because he had an ear-ringing event years ago when we were living in Wyoming, and I've never had anything of it that I could remember before him sharing it with me. And then weeks after, maybe even less than a week, I had my first earringing event, and I was like, oh my God, is this what he's been going through? Is this what he's talking about? And, you know, that's a whole different story in itself. And then the NDE came later, but I don't know that it's affected me. I think just because we're twins, there's a misconception that there could be a physical discomfort. I just sit and listen to his story, and I can imagine where he's been and what he's been through just from his words, you know. But I don't think it really changed me much. The only thing that has changed me are these ear-ringing events. And we had a spiritual woman actually come visit us. Her name is Anna. She's from the This Is Why Are You? Why Are You? What is it?
Why Are You You?
Yeah, Why Are You You podcast. And she really enlightened us on some things about the ear-ringing event. So that was interesting. But yeah, I wish I was able to be teleported in his mind exactly when he was going through it. Like, you know, being twins, why wouldn't that happen? He already shared this ear-ringing event. How come we couldn't share the NDE experience?
Right.
You know?
I think that's a separate trip on its own right.
Do you think it's because you don't need that? Because I always think like I needed a pretty big kick to get me back on the path. But and same with Lamar maybe, and then you just by able to being like fully believing Lamar that you don't need that much of a kick, so it was like a 2-for-1 special.
I think you're on to something. Like once I had this ear-ringing event, and it showed me visions of playing music in front of people, and I need to do this. I need to pick up a synthesizer, which I had no love for. I didn't want that direction. All I wanted to do was be a master farrier. That's all I wanted to do in life.
Really?
You know, and that sold the deal for me, is to go help horses who don't have a voice. Yeah. But then he shared the spiritual ear-ringing events with me, and all I could see and think is synthesizers and getting a message out to people. And I didn't know what it was going to turn into or what we should be doing with it. I just stayed the course, and it's been hard to get it out of my mind that, you know, whether I like it or not, this is what I'm going to do. It's almost like someone's pushing me to do it. Yep. And I'm staying on these tracks. So do I need a near-death experience to help me realize that? I think that's exactly why I haven't had a near-death experience. You know, I snore just as bad as he does at night. For all I know, I have the same apnea problem he has. Yep. You know, and my higher self is like, yeah, you guys are entangled in this web where reality will take new course upon both of you, and you'll experience it together, you know, but only one of you need to succumb the actual threshold.
Yeah, I don't know how I lost that Rochambeau fucking discussion, because obviously it was a wicked hand, sir.
We do experience some really profound things. A lot of it we don't want to share because, you know, people are critics. And before they want to believe something, they're out trying to prove how, oh, it's just this or it's just that. So we have a few people we share a lot of the ear-ringing segments with, but a lot of people aren't privy to this because it's real. And, you know, I don't think there's anyone out there that is going to give us 100% of what we're going through, but you know, we have some people who've experienced them themselves, and they have their own theories as to what they are, you know.
Interesting. What do you mind sharing with me? Well, I guess not everybody. What that person that came to see you guys, what she said about the ear ringing?
So Anna is a strong believer that it's me. Like, for instance, my ears ranged. This generally happens when we're at our most sleep deprived. Like if I wake up at 3 a.m., I know 100% I could have a ear ringing event because I'm not going to go back to sleep until like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And so I had one, and it was probably the scariest one I ever had, because when I snapped out of it, I immediately called my brother, which he was in a hotel out somewhere in Pennsylvania. And I woke him up, and I woke him up bawling because of how frightening it was. And I just wanted to stop. And so my ears rang, and then there was this entity, like a dark shadow figure, you could say. And it had his arms crossed, and it was tapping his feet, standing like my body is in bed, but I'm facing my wife and my back is towards the window. And the entity is at my back at the edge of the bed. His arms is crossed, and he's tapping his feet on the ground, shaking his head up and down, like as if to say, come on, let's go. I know you could do this. You've done this before. Come out of that fucking thing and come play, you know? And it kept looking at its watch. But I got this horrible, terrifying feeling, because when your ears ring and then your body starts to shake, like beyond belief.
And it's not your body. It's like your body doesn't move. It's like your soul.
It's like your soul is shaking beyond belief. And
like the vibratory state?
Yes. Yeah. And then like the back of my head feels like if you shake a soda can and you open it and you expect all this splash to come out. Well, it was like that. But it was no splash. It was like an elongation process. Like I was getting ready to open and spill over the side of the bed type feeling. Like, and as I'm feeling this, I'm literally on the ceiling watching myself and watching this figure. That's how I perceive it to be. And he's just arms crossed, like, come on, you could do it, you know, coaching me through it. But it was so creepy and so terrifying. And I think the reason why it was so terrifying was I couldn't move, like I was paralyzed. Normally, if I reach out and grab my wife, it's the end of the show. It all goes away instantaneously. And I couldn't do it. I was paralyzed. And I just kept feeling myself. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm about to leave my body, you know? And I was terrified. I don't know how I snapped out of it, but I was able to snap out of it, grab my wife. As soon as I grab my wife, the feeling just goes away. The ear ringing goes away. The vibrations go away. And I just instantaneously sat up in my bed, grabbed my phone, and called my brother. I didn't know who else to call because he's the only one literally experiencing this with me.
And the irony of that is I could not sleep that whole night. I was up for 24 freaking hours.
Yeah.
So here's a funny thing, real quick. The day before this happened, my brother sent me was it a Sean Patrick?
Sean Patrick interview with some guy that he did like studies with the Monroe Institute. Are you familiar with the Monroe Institute?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was watching that podcast, and I remember the guy saying, like, you know, when he has his remote viewing exercises, that he would come out of his exercise and say, hey, there's this shadowy figure that's scaring the shit out of me. Who is that? And the guy coaching them would say, hey, that's you. You have to confront that. I can't help you on that.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, and I'm sitting there mowing the lawn, I don't know why I said this to myself. I was like, okay, this guy, I know he's going through the same thing I'm going through. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not scared anymore. If this happens again, I'm gonna confront it, and I'm gonna confront myself. Well, sure as shit, it happened that night, right off of my sincerity and my stern commitment of not being afraid.
Yeah.
It came, it hit me hard, it balled me up into, like, you know, it just made me just very fearful and started crying that morning. And I was like, okay, so maybe I got some issues I'm still dealing with. And that's what makes me afraid of these ear-ringing events is you can't move. We can only talk about it with so many people, you know? So it's just a strange thing to go through. Very strange.
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually thinking about the Monroe when you were talking about it, because a lot of people get body taps. A whole bunch of people get what else do they get? It's always at this transition phase of that vibratory state before you have an OBE.
Right.
It seems like, right? And I know I've seen shadow figures too. Mine, I don't think mine are specifically myself, like a reflection of myself. It might be, but they always look like they're either a tall gray or a short gray.
Mm-hmm.
Not usually. It doesn't usually look like a person. But I go to this one meditation group that uses the triad mind. So it's like he was the guy that started that, was also with Monroe back in the day. So he does his new he uses this new technology and for doing, it's kind of like the gateway process.
Mm-hmm.
But how they talk about is like the intimate, the guardian and all these things. And yours kind of seems like it almost sounds like the guardian. So it's all aspects of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that because I know for myself, I'm there's what they described as is there's a throne, and only one aspect of yourself can usually occupy this throne at one time. And usually it's the guardian. So the guardian comes in after like dealing with reality, like our 3D reality and stuff, and it's there to protect you. But then you have to be able to overcome a lot of the shit that we like I know for me, it's like dealing with past traumas, like healing, that sort of thing. And once you're able to take control, and say to the guardian, no, I've got conscious control. It's not, the subconscious doesn't have to rule me. It kind of ties in with like Carl Jung's. I just read Carl Jung's the Red Book.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys read that?
No, I haven't, but I know
he's
who Carl
heavy
is.
into the hermetics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ties into hermeticism too, like with the mentalism and everything, and that you have to be able to, well, it's like that know thyself. Like you have to know yourself in order to understand yourself, which is in order to control yourself. And so, yeah, it's super, super interesting. Do you still have these encounters like regularly?
Oh yeah, the ear-ringing events don't go anywhere.
Yeah, they're here forever. When you think you don't have them anymore because you haven't had them in a long time, it really
pops up.
Oh yeah, it'll say, you thought we were good.
but
we're not done.
Oddly enough, I've never had one where it threatened me or it was mean to me or it wanted to take my life, or I felt like, oh, this is really evil. I've never, everything I've thought was, I scare myself more than it's trying to scare me.
Well, if you think of it, it's almost like a manifestation of your own shadow self.
Right.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe the higher self.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not ready to see my higher self. Maybe my higher self doesn't look like me. And that's for all of us. Maybe our higher selves is the alien entity. Like maybe it just doesn't look like us and we're not prepared to see ourselves.
Yeah. Does yours, does the shadow look like you, or does it look totally different?
It doesn't have anything. That's just the closest. Like I don't have the vernacular to explain what these things look like. I'm just giving you my earthly language to explain it. Totally. You know, so I'm really barred down as to how I can really explain it.
It's like our It's like our language for trying to describe emotion. It's
Right,
pretty
right.
shitty.
It is.
shitty, you know, and
Yeah.
it's
It's like anger, but there's like a lot of other shit there.
Yeah, yeah. And you just can't see or know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
it's never tried to harm me. It's tricked me a couple of times. I had this one where my ears were ringing, and right when they rang, I started to vibrate as usual. And then I hear my daughter's name in the background. She's saying, "Daddy, Daddy." And it took my mind off the ringing. And it sounded, believe me when I tell you guys, it sounded just like my daughter. And it carried an emotion behind her calling my name as if she was lost or she wanted to come to me. And it literally took my mind off the earringing event. And I'm like trying to focus in on like, where are you? In my mind, I'm saying, where are you? And she's like, Daddy, Daddy. And then boom, I'm into the earringing event. And then now my door is like, the door I'm staring at is all warping, and then my doorknob turns into this really crazy, like black hole type thing, and it's bringing in the door, and it's bringing in the room, and the room starts to want to departicleize, and I don't know. And dude, I just felt like this noise and this sound just going whoom, like just ready to suck me in, and it snaps, and I snap out of it.
Damn.
And that's how they happen. Now it's trickery. Now it knows I'm afraid of the ring. Like the ring knows, I know, like, oh shit, nope. And I try to get my mind to not go through it. On the other hand, when he goes through them, he says, I'm afraid of him, but I just go with him now.
Yep.
You know,
it's easier not to fight it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's almost like life. You just kind of have to go with the flow. That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Is yours like, Lamar, is yours more like light versus yours is more dark? Is it both kind of the same thing?
Oh, they're the same thing. One that really sticks out a lot is I was in that space, and a picture frame with me in it. I'm looking at it like face to face. And I thought, oh, that's me. It's a mirror. And I was like, oh, if it's me, I'll just crack a smile and I should see a smile in return. So I'm smiling at it, and it's not smiling back. It's got like this cynical look on its face, on my face. And I start to go, oh shit, that's not a mirror. Then who is that? And this whole like frame of me starts to shift to like, it goes around behind me, and I start like losing my shit because I'm losing sight of it, and I don't know where it's going. Although it's me, but it's the way I was looking at myself, and looking at myself was just weird as shit. And it was not doing the things that I was doing. So,
but it's very important that we make this clear. When we have an ear ringing event, we get a ring and we get body vibrations that follow.
Right.
When we have dreams, we don't get any of that, and we know we're dreaming. So I have to make that very clear.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a fine distinction of the book.
And or lucid dreaming. We all have had a lucid dream. You know, I know when I'm lucid dreaming, I'm like, oh, I'm in this dream, you know, and right when I think that, I'm out of the dream, you know, but the ear ringing event is real.
Yeah.
We are awake.
It's like, and I'm going to stop calling it the ear ringing event and just call it the in between, because you're just like in between
something,
sleep and reality or something, you know?
Yeah, it's like almost like sleep paralysis, but then you get these visions and auditorial actions.
Have you guys ever heard of the word hypnagogic?
No.
Okay, so there's I forget which, there's the hypnagogic, and then there's another word. So it's either right before you wake up or right when you're about to go to sleep. And that's when we seem to be like all of our filters seem to drop. Right. And then that's when we are able to access all these different things. Just 1 second. Do you need help, Hannah? Yeah. Okay. 1 second, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Yep. And this is real live shit right here, because we got to be parents. I love it. Hypnagogic. I gotta look this up. Hypnagogic. It sounds exactly like what we're going through, like our body just
Going through some stuff.
well, like he said, it catches you, like all your filters are down. So I'm like, shit, that would explain why I'm able to hear voices and a little bit of our music there.
Might as well.
Okay, I'm back.
There we go. We were just playing some elevator music while you were gone.
Yeah.
What did you say? What?
Hypnagogic.
Okay, I got that.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. Because you guys aren't part of the experiencer group, are you?
I don't even know what that is, sir.
No.
So like J. Christopher King started and a couple others started this group called the Experiencer Group, and it's for people that have had NDEs, non-human intelligence stuff, OBEs, anything to do with the other, and it's a group of people that you have to. It's like super respectful, and everyone can share things in there. It's like a closed community though. So they vet everybody that joins. And in that, there's meetings, like support meetings for people. I know it helped me a lot when I was going through a lot of my stuff, because I was like, holy fuck. I was like, you don't hear about a lot of the darker stuff. I talk about this on mine. Like you don't hear a lot about the dark shit that happens with people with these experiences. A lot of times we only share like the good stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so like it would be really good, like in a support meeting, I'd be like, "Oh, this happened," and they'd be like, "Oh, fuck, that happened to me last week." So it's like good it's confirmations that you're not going like nuts first. But in there's this one group where we do guided meditations through from Monroe Institute, because like one of my goals I got given by Ra, like the sun god. During one of my experiences was that I'm supposed to have out of body experiences, and for the life of me I can't. Mostly I think it's because the last one, my NDE, I think it was so traumatic for my body that it just has like a death grip on my like soul that it doesn't want to let me go.
Yeah, we got to get into that. I got to hear this story.
Okay, but first I really want to talk about my one incident that I had. So I used to, when I was having like abductions or whatever they are, it could have been astral. I don't know. I don't know if they were like physical or not. It's kind of hard to tell. But I would always get this ear ringing, and then I would get this intense feeling of dread and impending doom. And sometimes I'd see a shadow being, sometimes I wouldn't. And then I would, feel like I'm like gonna fucking die every time, and it was horrible. It went on for like a good year, and I decided at this one point, my girlfriend at the time, she's now my fiance, she was telling me about these protection things that you can do. And so what I did was I visualized a white dome over top of my apartment that was wouldn't allow anything negative into that space. Anything that was negative already in had to leave immediately. Only things that, like the gods or spirits or entities that loved me were allowed in there. And I did it right when I started getting that ear ringing and that intense feeling. And as soon as I visualized this dome like coming down over and hitting the ground, as soon as that happened, I got the most intense pain in my head. It was like somebody stuck like a needle straight into my brain with the most high-pitched squealing pitch. Like it was horrible. And then I was resisting it, and I was thinking, holy shit, like I'm gonna have to drop whatever, like this force field or what, this spiritual force field. Now I wasn't really believing it at the time, but then I started feeling the something move. So I was laying on my side and I felt something, and I visualized it as almost like a slug, and it started peeling off, and the pain was getting worse and worse and worse as it was peeling off it felt like off my brain. And then and I was about to stop, and then it got off and disappeared, and then all the pain stopped, and then I stopped having negative experiences after that, pretty much.
Wow.
So what do you think that was? Do you think that that slug thing was like stripping away the negative from you and like eating that up, or is it something you fought off?
I think it could have been like a spiritual parasite or something. Like you hear about this stuff all the time. I don't know if it's so much like if it's an actual parasite or if it's a manifestation of myself, like and a symbolism of that. It's really hard to tell, like what's real versus like what's a symbol of ourselves, that sort of thing. But I know when I visualize my energy, when I do a meditation, and if I visualize my energy, which looks like a white pearl. So when I first started doing it, it was like all cloudy and everything. But I get to the point now, it's like a white pearl. But I'll find like these little baby slugs on it that I have to pick off during my meditation. And then and if there's too many of them, then it'll start getting cloudy again. And so I have to pick them off.
Wow. Like,
Yeah.
I just know we are not what we think we are. Like this third dimensional shit, that's just it. But we're not that, you know? I truly think we're like this. People laugh when I say it, but we're like this highly conductive energy squid type thing that's nothing but pure energy. And we're able to put ourselves in this dimension, in this body form to experience it. And when it's over, and we pop out and
leave the meat sacks.
Yeah. We leave the meat sacks, but we're kind of like these jellyfish you see in the ocean. Like we're just that in outer space. We're just these entities that are alien in itself. And all we do is go and experience different aspects of life and dimensions. Like there's trillions of different alien species out there. I just think that's what our species is.
Could be.
You know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Did you have anybody you could tell that to after that experience? Like, was there someone you could reach out to?
So during that time, I had my fiance. So she's an experiencer too. So it was really... I was going through a separation at the time and stuff. Like it was my life was a fucking shit show during then, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like reflective of like a lot of the negative experiences I was having was also like reflective of my emotional state. So I don't know how much of these experiences are like for myself. I don't speak about anybody else, but for myself, I wonder how much of I was like attracting maybe versus. And trying to, and seems like the more I tried to push things down in a way, the more they would pop up as like these negative experiences. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe that's why you had the near-death experience, because you were on the wrong path.
Oh, yeah.
He was on the wrong path. His path was more volatile than mine.
Yeah, because I was in law enforcement and I did not like it, and I would force myself to go to work, and I knew I was on the wrong path.
Interesting.
Like I knew it.
It was that and some other things, some other personal things that he was going through.
Yeah, well, that was the part of my, and I'm going to say it was my wife at the time. We were just, we didn't resonate well. She was more negatively drawn to that, and I was always positive and trying to bring like positivity to the relationship.
I get that.
Then I would tell her about my near-death experience and my other experience,
and dreams and everything, and like wanting to do music.
And then she would say, things like, "Well, I don't know what you want me to tell you, or I don't know what to tell you," like, and always dismiss it off and just like throw everything that I wanted to do, like he said, my dreams of me and doing all this stuff of music, and she's just like this person that just seemed hell bent on not having me happy.
There was never a spiritual talk with her.
Well, there was, but she didn't want to listen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She had no desire to entertain any of it.
Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting.
You know? And so that divorce finalized like 2-3 months ago. Yeah. And I tell you what, during that time I met my soulmate, dude.
Was that, did it finalize in April? April or March?
No, June 12th.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Crazy.
June
Because it
12th.
sounds like you have a little bit of the same thing going on over there.
Let's listen.
That's funny.
Come on. I got 2 kids with her.
Yeah, so I'm I was a paramedic and a crane operator for years.
We talked about that. My brother and I started off as paramedics. Yeah.
Oh, you're a paramedic too?
We both were.
No way.
Yeah, that's how we started off.
No way. So I wasn't on the bus that much because I only did I was a Band-Aid at work. So I only had to go on the ambulance for 6 months during my preceptorship.
Same here.
Okay. And so but they gave me the nickname the Black Cloud while I was on there. Because
you're a shit magnet.
Huh?
Yeah, you're a shit magnet.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It was insane. Like my preceptor, the first day, he's like, okay, for sure. Cause I don't know how it is in the States, but in Canada, you have to do like at least 2 CPRs, 2, artificial respirations with the bag valve. You have to do like all these different things. And, he said to me, he's like, I know I got you for a couple months, but we're probably going to have to go to the morgue and stuff. And it was that first week I got everything done.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. And there was a multiple vehicle accidents, like MVAs. I had ventricular fibrillations that end up I had to do Hollywood's CPR and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was enlightening. I'm glad I did it, but so I got sent there from my work because I went to be so I was a crane operator already, and then they sent me and paid for everything, thank goodness, so I could be their Band-Aid at work because there were so many people on site. We have strict restrictions that they had to have. I think it was 3 paramedics on site all the time, and because it was so dangerous, so we had one where inside this vessel a plate broke, like a plate of metal, and it came down and snapped the guy's bilateral femur fracture.
Right.
And we had to extricate him out of the I didn't, but everybody had to extricate him out of that vessel and everything. So that I was doing that, and then I had ended up quitting and started a business, which went fucking horrible, like really bad. It looked good from the outside, and then boy, it was a rotten foundation, rotten core. I got into the business with the wrong guy. It was a shit show. It became super. I put everything I had, like all my money and savings and the family's money and savings into the business. And it ended up going tits up real bad. End up getting sued like crazy because as everything was collapsing, it was like a house of cards, right? So like as soon as one tipped over, the whole thing came crashing down. So we ended up getting sued like crazy. End up losing pretty much everything, and got dragged through the mud in the news. Like it was pretty rough, actually. It was like,
wow, God, man, what did you get caught doing?
Yeah, well, it was we couldn't finish projects, right? Because we were doing contracting, so we couldn't finish projects and stuff. And then it just snowballed. You know how fast the news media can, like the news
grab a story. Yeah,
and we got told not to comment. It was bad. Yeah, so it was really rough. So then that all happened. So I was in like the worst state of I wasn't the worst, but it was pretty close to the worst state of my life. And we are moving out of our house because we had to, and we're going to move into with my parents, and we were doing touch-ups in the house because it was like 2 more days before we had to be out of there. And then and I had been working on our apartment because we had still kept our apartment, thank goodness, that we were going to move into, but it was fucked. Like the whole floor had sunk. And so I was having to redo this apartment so we could actually live in there. And like on a shoestring budget, like for like cheap. Plus we had to borrow money from my parents so we could actually live in there. So we didn't have to live with them for years. And so this was the situation. And then, so I went downstairs super tired because I was doing work. Plus I had gone back to that job I hated, doing working on the condo, plus working, trying to get ready to move. And I went downstairs, and there was this 5-gallon pail, a bucket of paint to do touch-ups. And I took out my pocket knife, and I should have went and got my screwdriver, but I was thinking, no, fuck that, screw that. I'm going to use my knife. And I went to go pop open this bucket because it was like a little pull top, but it was covered in paint everywhere.
Mhm.
And I went to go pry it, and it popped, and then it hit me in the arm. And that's the surgeon scar, but it ended up going right here, and it ended up nicking the artery. So it didn't slice all the way through it. So if you slice it right, like you guys know, if you slice it, then it's gonna constrict, and
it's a wrap.
Mhm.
In most cases, if you can't get a tourniquet, it's a wrap.
Yeah, but not in his case though.
Right.
Yeah, so mine just sliced.
It just sliced.
So there was just a small nick, and so then I started bleeding everywhere. I clamped down on it as hard as I could. I like sprayed everywhere. The knife popped back out. The knife went right.
Yeah,
and it went right through. You could see the tip almost poke right through, but it didn't poke through my other side.
Mm-hmm.
It popped out, and it went flying on the ground. And then I clamped down as hard as I could, and I ran upstairs, and there's blood everywhere. I ended up not getting a drop of blood on the main floor, which is good because she had just finished cleaning there.
With an arterial bleed, you didn't get blood on the main floor. It's amazing,
right? Yeah,
and you're running around pumping that blood pressure more.
Yeah, basement everywhere, basement stairs everywhere. Didn't get it on the main floor. Amazing. And somehow I opened the door without it like going everywhere. It was actually pretty amazing because I was screaming her name. I was like, okay, I was like we gotta go, and I'm running out the door, and she had heard me, thank goodness, and she came running downstairs. I was already running to the car. I was like, we gotta fucking go. I was like, you gotta take me to the hospital. And she's yelling back at me. She's like, there's no fucking way I'm driving you. And I turned around, and I was like, why? And I turned around because I didn't think it was that bad. I turned around, and it looked like an elk got shot.
Man.
Yeah, it was brutal. Blood everywhere. There was a trail, and I was like, oh shit. So I went up, I had a truck at the time, dropped my tailgate, and I put my elbow on the tailgate. I was pushing so hard, the muscles snapped in my forearm.
Mm-hmm.
So half of them balled up in my shoulder, the other half bumped up in my wrist. And it started pooling. It was bleeding. So I was bleeding so much that it pooled and filled all the indents in the tailgate. And then I started getting woozy. She was calling 911, and they said, yeah, we're going to be there. And it shouldn't be very long. It should only be a couple minutes. And I was like, oh, I should probably put on a tourniquet. And they said, and 911 said, don't put on a tourniquet, which is, there's a couple weird things, but that was like, don't put on a tourniquet's really weird, right? Like you got a dead.
That's really weird.
Yeah. And so then I was getting woozy, so I backed up against the garage door, and then I slid down as I was holding it, and then I started getting even more lightheaded. And so I asked her to bring over the wagon, the kid's wagon, and then I put myself in the recovery position. And by this time, she had given me a rag, and I was holding it, and I was in the recovery position. I was down. It was down to a drip, and I was just kind of laying there, and all my vision started going white, and it started coming in, and all my other senses got like super heightened. So like I could smell everything. Like I could smell that coppery taste and smell it, and I could smell like the dirt around me. I could smell the concrete. Like I'd smell everything. And I could really feel the heat, the sun, because it was actually June 11th. So I think that's funny, is the day before your divorce.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
And the June 12th was the day my life changed too.
Damn. Yeah.
And so I was fading out. A neighbor had come over, and she was talking to my wife at the time. And then all of a sudden I'm looking down, and I'm looking down at this body, and I'm like, wow, that guy looks fucked up. He looks like shit. I was like, and there's these two women wandering around, and there's blood everywhere. And then it took me a good couple seconds to realize it was me.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I realized it was me, I got rocketed up. Have you guys ever done DMT?
No.
Okay. So
No.
they call that the rocket phase. I had never done anything like that stuff at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it feels like, it literally felt like I got strapped into a roller coaster and just rocketed straight up into the air, past the clouds, out past Earth. And then all of a sudden I was in this, in the black void. And so I'm in this black void, and I can sense.
Wait. Let me stop you right there. Can I stop you right there? Okay. Yeah. When you popped out of your body, dude, like, do you remember looking around, or like not just focusing in on your wife and kid and your body, like, but did you just like look around and go, what the hell?
So like when I was looking, so my vision was straight down at my body, laying down, like looking fucked up, and then I could see my wife and the neighbor, and then I kind of looked around quickly, noticed that it was my house, and I was about, I don't know, 40 feet up. And I was like, I was almost I was a little bit higher than the peak of the house. It was a 2-story house. And I'm looking straight down. I looked a little bit around, but as soon as I realized where I was, then I got rocketed straight up. So I didn't have very much time. It was only a couple seconds.
Okay, but so before you realized it, did you feel like you were just a spectator? Like, hey, this dude is messed up.
Yeah, you know what it feels like? When you're playing a video game and you get killed? You're in spectator mode? That's exactly what it feels like. I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Man. When you could just like float around, but I never got to.
Yeah. So you're in this black void now.
Yeah, so I'm in the black void. You know what it reminds me of? Have you guys seen Soul from Pixar?
Oh, yeah. I saw it a long time ago, a cartoon Soul, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. That's what it felt like. There was a bunch of like people waiting to go. But I didn't see anybody. I just have this feeling that there was others waiting. But there wasn't just like in one line. It was like almost, the painting by Dante's Inferno kind of thing, where they're all like a bunch of angels or something going towards this light.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, but I couldn't see anything, if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. And then there was this white light that showed up, and it was tiny. It was like a little pinprick far away. And then I got brought to it, or it got brought to me, or it just enlarged. It's kind of hard to tell like the orientation of it. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was getting closer and closer and closer to it until it was like my entire field of view. And then as soon as it got like super close and it was super large, I was in this meadow. And so like there was no transition period or anything. It was just like, boom, I'm in this meadow. And when you were saying how it was like exactly tailored to you, literally the same thing. Cause I literally remember thinking, holy shit, this is way too much on the nose. Like this is like stereotypical. So I'm in this beautiful meadow,
like Gladiator,
right? Yeah.
One of my favorite movies ever. So It was green grass, but it was like that height, and there was butterflies, and I wasn't super into that sort of thing before, but like now I am. But there's like little butterflies flying around. There was beautiful flowers. There was one little creek off in the distance with one lone tree. There was hills everywhere, and it was like perfect clouds. It was a perfect blue sky with perfect clouds. The smell was like that, that it was like if you mowed the lawn and then you have that fresh dew scent all at once. It was like, it was like heaven. And I was pretty much an atheist at the time. I was like this far away from being an atheist. I was agnostic, just leaving that crack of the door open,
right.
Just in case. And so then so I'm sitting here, and then I hear this harp music, and then I'm going, okay, this is way too much. Like, come on, like this is like the most beautiful harp music I've ever seen. I was thinking, holy shit, like this is
You're
this
really
has to be
thinking like
fake.
a human, like, man, this is overboard. Like, what is this bullshit? Like, you're calling bullshit?
Yeah, that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, this has to be like this, like, I don't know what this is, but it seems way too stereotypical. Right. And then all of a sudden, so my vision wasn't like 360. I know like everyone says like a lot of people have that 360 vision. Mine wasn't. Mine was like normal vision, which I still find interesting why mine was like that. I think it's for my own comfortability, to be honest. I think the 360 thing would have fucked me too much. Like this was enough. And I felt these entities or entity, I'm not sure, behind me, to my right. Interestingly enough, that's where I get my earring, is to my right always. And I felt they spoke to me, not physically, but like spoke to you in a different language that I didn't understand, but I did understand it. The way I try to describe it now is more like if you're watching like Shogun, and then you have subtitles, it's like the same sort of thing. You're just getting the instant knowledge of what they're conveying to you, even though they might not be speaking the same language or thinking the same thoughts in that language or whatever. And they said, you have a choice. You can stay here, or you could go back. And I was like, go, staying here. Thank you.
yeah. Right now.
Cause at the time I didn't think I was, worth very much. I thought I thought I wasn't even good, like a good father, like super depressed. I thought I was a drain on everything. Couldn't see my value, whatsoever. And why the fuck should I go back to that? And they said, well, before, like, hold on kind of thing, before you make a decision, we want to show you something. And so then I was instantly in this giant library. I recently went to St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. And that's the biggest building, I think, that seems like it was closest to that library, but the library was bigger. Like it was just immense. And there was levels, like 4 levels of 3 or 4. I can't remember now. You know, the weird thing is about the NDEs, like the more I tell it, the harder it is to remember the details.
Yeah.
So there's these levels of bookshelves, and there's these really tall books. It's kind of like, I don't know if you see that in the background here. This, I got this new book. But it was like this size. And so it was all binded really nice. And it was like, but it was all leather, thick leather. You could smell the leather. And there's like, seemed like millions of books. And so I'm in there, and I start getting, it's almost like the sidewalks at in the airport where you just start moving. And I just start moving forward. I can see paintings and murals on the ceiling. It's lit by torchlight, but there's no smoke smell. But it smells like antique leather, and like the world's greatest library is what it smells like. Right. And so then all of a sudden I get brought into this room off to the right, and it's another giant room. And in the center is this single table with a single leg, almost like a mushroom stem almost. And on it is a big dome, and it's white. And I go up to it, and I look inside. And so this is more of a feeling than an actual memory of it. So everything else is pretty crystal clear. But this part, like what I saw inside, is more like a feeling. And I don't have a clear image, if that makes sense. Right. But what I saw was roots, so a tree, and these roots were all my different choices that I could have made or did made. Some of them that was the choice I made. Some of them were other possible choices that I could have made. And then this tree, the tree trunk, was this event that I couldn't avoid. So which was my NDE. So no matter what choice I made, it was always going to lead to this. And then it went to branches, and those are all the different choices I can make going forward in my life. And then it would turn into tree roots and then back to a tree trunk. So there's another event coming, and it would just go on for infinity, like all these different nexus points. Have you guys seen the new Spider-Man cartoon?
I have not.
No, I haven't.
No. So that's the closest I can think of. So they call these like the tree trunk, the canon events. So it's all these events that you are very pivotal in your development that you can't avoid. There's tons of different ways to get there. There's some easy ones. There's some harder ones. There's some ones that are really fun and great. There's some ones that are really tough and challenging, but there's events that are unavoidable. And so I was shown this, and they said, you can decide, you can either you can go back, or you can stay here, and neither choice is wrong. And they really like emphasize that neither choice is wrong. So just like yours. But if I do go back, it's my last chance to do what I'm supposed to do. And so then I don't remember making the choice. I obviously did, I guess. And next thing I know is a paramedic. She's slapping a tourniquet on me, and they're putting an IV on me. And another paramedic, her partner, is asking me. He's like, is there anybody else in the house? Because they weren't sure if this was like a fight or something, because there's just way too much blood.
Right.
And so they said, my wife's like, no, there's nobody else in the house. He goes in anyways, goes and checks, gets me on the gurney, throws me in the ambulance. My blood pressure was 45 over 35, 35 over 45. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was real low. I can't remember which way it was. I know it was weird. It might have been the wrong way. But anyways, so they put an IV in me. They gave me a huge couple boluses, and I started compensating almost immediately, which again was really weird. So they didn't actually have to give me anything. I got taken to the surgeon or to the hospital, and the nurse was asking the paramedic. She's like, how much blood did he lose? And she's like, a lot. she's like, I don't know how to estimate it, because
all of
she's
it.
like,
Yeah, he lost all of that shit.
Yeah. And so then the nurse comes over, and she's like, we're about to switch. And I didn't want morphine at the time, so I refused morphine or any drugs.
Because you were already tanked, dude.
I know.
If they would have brought home the morphine with your pressure that low, bye.
Yeah, well, and I compensated so well, so I got right back up to, I think it was up to 140 over like 90 by the time we got to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Yeah, as long as you're
isn't that weird?
Hold on. There's no way IV is doing that.
Yeah. I know, it's super
You're
weird.
lacking blood. You need a blood transfusion.
That's what she said, and they were super weird.
Hello.
No, Hannah, we're doing a recording, sweetie. You're gonna have to edit that part out.
No.
That's real life stuff.
That's real. That's what happens.
This is what happens.
So we have to blur her face.
If you want it cut out, we'll cut it out. But that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So then, it was really weird. They couldn't figure out how I compensated so well. They go to switch my tourniquet over to the hospital tourniquet, and she was wearing her nice running shoes, and I was like, you should probably switch your shoes. And she's like, why? I was like, I'm a squirter. I thought it was hilarious at the time.
I like to squirt, man.
And so she goes over, switches her shoes, and she comes back, and then she takes off, and I just started just spewing everywhere. And she's like, thanks. She's like, those were my nice ones. So she switched to her Crocs, right? And then the surgeon ended up coming. Finally, when he came, I went on to morphine. And then they were going to try they wanted to try something before they did surgery. So he stuck his 2 fingers inside me. That's what she said.
That's what she said now.
And held direct pressure on my artery for 30 minutes. And then he took his fingers out, and I was like, nope, didn't work, because I could feel it just welling up inside. He's like, no, I think it did. And all of a sudden I just started gushing again. And so I ended up going for surgery. And then, I have a selfie. I took a selfie that day before my accident. And then I have a selfie after. And my fiance swears I don't look like the same person. She's like, something about the eyes have changed.
Right.
And so then ever since then, I use that. Everyone always asks me about that messaging, like this is your last chance, like it's a warning sort of thing. But I see it now. At the time, I thought it was like a big fucking warning. Like I better be really careful about what I do and say now. But I think it was something I needed to hear at that exact moment to make the changes in my life that I needed to make. So I ended up getting divorced. I switched from that job to now I'm teaching crane now. I've joined a bunch of like meditation groups, trying to experience like, so everything's become like a 180. My life is totally different now. I met my soulmate. Totally different.
That's interesting because like his life is totally different now.
Yeah. And I don't want to paint it like, it was all her fault. Like during my marriage, I was accountable for some dumb shit. I wasn't a peach, you know what I mean? So it was, but it was, we came to that time where we just had to separate, but it was like so pivotal life change. I can relate with you. Like it's like literally that was I feel like it was a different life now.
It does. Yeah. It feels like literally you took one book that was your old life and you put it on the shelf and you just started writing this new book.
Right.
Even though it's the same character, it's like the sequel.
Yeah, exactly. But the sequel is way better than the first one in this case.
Yeah.
Like I found my soulmate and I just like, man, I'm so grateful.
Me too.
And I think the NDE is what pushed this narrative. Like, cause I truly believe it got me to this point where I could see the totality of my life and how I was not going the way, or it was not going the way where I really needed it to go.
Well, I was super materialistic. Not that I'm not anymore. Like I still love like I would love a sports car.
Right.
But doesn't mean I've like lost. But I was like insanely materialistic. I thought money could fix everything. Right. It doesn't fix shit. It sometimes helps though. It does help sometimes. Like if you want to do something, unfortunately in this world, you have to have money to even to buy like a piece of land or anything. Right. But before it was like, I thought money could fix everything, but a lot of times it just makes it worse if you don't know how to, because money is just energy and stuff.
Right.
I was like I was like an asshole back then. I'm still an asshole sometimes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're human, right?
Yeah.
And I always say that just because we had these experiences, people just like, not everybody, but I know some people think like, oh, well, you had this NDE. You're like, you're above human now. And it's totally not the case. Totally not the case.
Ask all my friends and my family. Yeah, I'm still flawed as fuck. What it really has helped me do, though, is give me the bravery. I don't know, bravery. That seems bravado-ish. The gave me some cojones to be able to start looking at myself and start fixing some of the bullshit that I was listening to about myself.
Right. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like something's watching you? Like you have to,
like you're accountable,
behave yourself in many ways, or do you feel like it's watching me, but it doesn't care? It wants me to live this human life.
It feels like I'm in kindergarten or grade 1. And these last like 3-ish months, I've been on recess. So I'm kind of allowed to like do whatever I want. I can maybe like trip and fall a couple times. I can do all these things. But then class is starting again. Like I'm going into like grade 2 or maybe something. That's what it feels like. Like it does feel like there's teachers. Yeah.
When you were there, and I wish I had taken the time to evaluate this shit more on the other side. But when you were on the other side, did you perceive like any sort of weather? Like, was it warm? Was it like a chill in the air?
Oh, no, it was like perfect weather.
Yeah, he said the heart music.
Oh, the heart music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you did feel a sense of warmth though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like if you could picture like the perfect day in a perfect meadow with like a babbling brook and a single tree that I would have loved to put like a tire swing on when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the day. That was what it was like right there. And I think that was just like I think it was just tailor made for me. Like it just, like you were saying, Contact. Like I love that movie. Like and Stargate. Like that sounds fucking cool, but it's not what I needed at the time. Like,
Right.
yeah, like I would love to have that cool experience, but mine was it was so stereotypical. I couldn't deny it, if that makes sense.
Right. And that's what I like to get that across too, because when I was there, like I could tell you a raunchy joke. I was still me. And I thought that was the best part of my experience.
Yeah.
One of the best parts is the universe loves me for me. It didn't turn me into this like Buddhist, guru. It was like, no, man, we love you who you are. Why would we ever change anything about you?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That means, you're not perfect. But it was just
perfectly imperfect.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it loved me no matter what I did. You know what I mean? Like it did not care.
Are you afraid to die?
No.
After this whole experience?
Definitely not. I'm afraid of missing out on life.
Yes.
So I'm not in a hurry to get back there because I know this is just like a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some days it's really fucking tough where you're just like, oh God, this existence is so much. Like it was so much easier on that side. But now I'm like super, super thankful for every day. Some days I forget it, like just like normal. But I actively try to be thankful, and I'm more excited. I was saying, I don't know if you guys know Robin Lassiter. She has a great podcast called Earth, a Love Story, where she talks about a bunch of her experiences. And I had an interview with her, and I was talking to her about, I actually almost look forward just as much to the shitty times now as the good times, because it gives me a good place to judge how good my life is now compared to it was.
Right.
Yep.
Like my life is fucking way better than it ever was. It sucks like that my fiance's like sometimes it really having a long distance relationship, sometimes like just want to be able to like see your partner and stuff.
Oh man, I'm going through the same thing, bro. Just
I don't even have to tell you.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah. I get, and then the frustration builds up and stuff, but
you just, and some days you're just sick and tired of it.
Here, I get mad when the wife denies me a little bit of extracurricular activities in the morning.
You know what I'm saying? But look, and I'm like, how dare you? Because at least you have that to have that.
Yeah,
that's right.
And I tell my wife now, I tell her, when we're finally together, I'm never going to take that shit for granted ever again.
Exactly.
I'm going to love the days where you yell at me, fight.
Yeah, exactly.
If we get to that point, I'm going to take it. I'm going to love it. And,
that's right.
And it's going to be the end of it. But this gives you a lot of time to see how tough mentally you are too.
That's true. Yeah. And I was saying to her that we've talked about lots, that it's allowed us to give us the time to individually heal and learn how to communicate properly. Because I like you were saying about your ex there, it's the same with me. It wasn't that it was all her fault or anything. I had my own shit that I hadn't dealt with at all. And so the separation between myself and my fiance right now is that we're both able to, we're growing as individuals, but also together at the same time, which allows me to, what I really miss is when I see people like couples now holding hands. Fuck, it kills me.
Yeah. And every time I'm with my wife, I make sure we're always doing that.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
I am just like, a lot of it is like, because you have this time with that individual, your soulmate, and it's so hard to spend time in the moment because you're so worried about the departure.
That's right.
And then when the departure day comes, you kick yourself in the ass because you didn't spend time in the moment. And it was about the moments you have together versus what you don't have together.
That's right.
And so I found a good space. I met some good people, Ben and Anna. They really hammered that home.
Yeah. Same.
and it's helped me. So now I'm spending more time in the moment with her, and her likewise. You know,
Yeah.
we both suffer from the separation anxiety.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yes, you just got to hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I know it's eventually going to happen. Like it's not going to be forever. Even if it does, it doesn't actually matter because it's so good. Even though this way that, I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Right. Cause at least you have that person in your life, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing that counts.
And look at all the foundations it's fortifying within your relationship, trust and patience.
That's
and
right.
being able to control certain emotions and understand what what it is not to have and hold dear. And it's just giving you all of these properties you need for the ultimate foundation.
Correct.
Yeah,
like if we're at our perceivable worst right now, that means we're going to thrive when we're together, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Fuck. I love that.
Yeah.
Now tell me this. You said you've seen like shadow figures. What else have you seen?
A bunch of shit. I've had like I like to describe it as I've had like a buffet of experiences. So I don't have a lot of
your childhood or something like.
Yeah. So when I was 4, so I have a really long episode that I did on my childhood experience. But I'll give you like the quick version. So when I was around 4-ish, I had this experience where I woke up. I was in this green pool of green goo, and I could barely breathe, or I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't swim. But it was buoyant enough that I could get to the surface. And when I got to the surface, all I heard was children screaming. And I started like swimming over to the edge of this pool, and it was rectangular and it was really big. I was in this really dark room with the ceiling you couldn't see because it was so high up that it was covered in darkness almost. And the room was like rectangular again. And it kind of reminded me of those dungeons, like from fairy tales and stuff. Like, but there was bricks, right? But they were perfectly smooth, like metal bricks almost. So it was almost like tile. But at the time, it felt like I was like in a dungeon. And I climbed myself out. I was totally naked. And I beelined it straight to the other kids. And there's kids of all different ages, different races. The funny thing is none of them spoke English. So none of us spoke the same language. We're all freaking out. I grabbed onto this little girl. She was probably 2 years older than me. She was blonde, and she grabbed onto me, and we're just holding each other. And there was all these we were all just huddled into this. There's about 15 of us huddled into this like ball of screaming kids. And the goo started. It was inside there was warm, but not too hot. It wasn't too cold. And this goo kind of like dried off and just kind of like fell off. And we were all screaming there. I'm yelling. I'm asking if they know where my mom and where my dad is, all this, but they couldn't answer because they were probably asking the same thing. And then this doorway on the far wall, this doorway appeared, and this woman walks out, a blonde, super beautiful. She looked naked, but she didn't have like any external. She must have been in some like seamless bodysuit or something, or she just was like, she didn't have like any genitalia, no nipples or anything, but it was like, it looked like she was naked, but she wasn't. And so she came out, and we were all so stunned. We stopped screaming for a second, and then I started yelling can you help us? Do you know where my mom or my dad is? And she comes out, and she reaches out a hand, and she grabs a kid, and that kid stops instantly doing anything in his face. His face just went completely slack and blissful at the same time. And then that really freaked out me, really freaked out all these other kids. I started screaming right away again, same with the other kids. And she just grabbed this kid by the hand, and then she walked out of this doorway, and it was like a doorway of light. Walked out, the doorway disappeared, and we were left in there, and she just kept doing this. She'd come back in, grab another kid, same thing would happen. They'd go like neutral, blissful, and she'd keep coming. Oh, I forgot to say that her eyes were larger than normal. So they were like this big almost.
Yeah.
Almost, and super like blue, like almost like electric blue, her like irises. And she had no expression on her face, but she was emoting like feelings of love and it's going to be okay and everything. Like that's what the energy felt like, but there was no facial expressions. So finally, it got to my turn. I was thinking I'm gonna bite her, like she's not taking me. And she reached out, and I grabbed her hand for some reason, and instantly I just got this feelings of it's okay. This is normal. Don't worry about this. Like it's okay. You're loved. And I got led out of the doorway into this white hallway, and it was a long hallway with no visible seams or anything, and it was rounded. So it was like a flat floor, and then a rounded. It was almost like it was 3D printed, is how I describe it now. So it's like perfect, right? There was no lights, like the wall and the floors, and the floor emitted the light. It was like bioluminescent almost, of this white light. And we started walking down this hallway, and then I came into this. She went through this doorway, and I was in this room with like a table on it, and it looked like plastic. And again, it's interesting. I have similar themes throughout a lot of my experiences. So this one was that it had a single stem, kind of like in my NDE, that this table was on, and there was this either a view screen or a window, kind of like Star Trek Enterprise, where it was either, I'm not sure if I was underwater or if I was in space, but there were speckles. So it was either stars or highlighted spots in the ocean. I'm not sure which one it was. She led me onto the table. I laid down. I got this feeling that this has happened before. It's going to happen again. It's nothing to worry about. I was looking down at my toes, and then she was gone. So she must have went and got somebody else. And then all I remember is trying to look up, but I couldn't move my body. And so I was craning my eyes up, trying to look up. And then all I saw was this like top half, like this half up of this gray alien's head with these big black eyes. And they were like wet. And then I woke up, and I've had, I don't know if it's the same time period, but my mom and dad said I was missing for a good couple hours back when I was a kid. So they were searching for me. So we lived up in northern Alberta, and I would go play with my friends. And I swear, I remember this day too. I remember I left at noon because my friend had a watch, and I was supposed to be home for like 2 or 3. But I wanted to go home early for some reason. We were building a fort or something, and I wanted to leave home early. And so I left to go home. And then the next thing I remember is that I'm sitting in front of the TV, and Batman, the old Batman TV show was on. And so I sat down in front of the TV, and I was because I remember I was standing there. It was like, and the TV was already on. And then I just sat down, and my mom and dad came in like, I don't know, I think a half hour later, and it was like 9:30 p.m. And boy, did I get in trouble. I got grounded.
Oh, so we know what happened to your ass.
Yeah, you got it. But isn't that lady reminiscent of like the Pleiadian species, the tall whites?
Yeah, I don't know. I've read all that, but I don't really have any. It could be like, could have been a light being, could have been the lady. I don't know if you guys have heard of who's that guy that does UFO of God.
Oh, I have no clue.
Chris Bledsoe.
Oh, bless.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he talks about the lady. It could have been her.
What
could have
about the
been a
guy
plebeian.
who? What about the guy who had like 8 kids with an alien?
Oh yeah.
Over in New York, and I think it was like Hoboken,
A lot of
or
kids.
you know, he had like 8, 9 kids with this alien. It's a really cool documentary on YouTube or Netflix.
I think it's on YouTube. I forgot the name of
And
it.
man, he drew these phenomenal pictures of what he went through, and the woman he depicts sounds much like the woman you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of correlations between what people experience and like it's I wish I had more of a frame of reference for what I've experienced.
Right.
Like there's a lot of like in the experience group, there's lots of people that get told things. I haven't been told shit.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Other than it was not my time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it'd be nice to give a guy a little bit of a hint.
Well, you know what? I take that back. I did get all my life path and plans and all that.
You just couldn't remember it coming back.
They took it all away. So like, sometimes I'm like, well, what was the fucking point of like making remember?
I have a theory about it is that they don't want to influence your choices. So because that could affect the outcome. So I've gotten this download where it feels like there was only one really narrow path to get to a good future. And I'm not just talking about as like myself individually, but as a collective. And we somehow navigated that thread. But if we had been told too much, then we would have been overthinking it and then made different choices.
Right.
You sure make this sound like a simulation.
Yeah, buddy. Like we picked this. Like it's one of those things that you pick your life path.
Yeah. I keep jumping between either it's a simulation or Dolores Cannon's kind of thing where it's like a school.
Yeah, Dolores. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I keep jumping between the two.
I'm a big proponent in this being a lesson.
Yeah.
Like we're here for a reason.
That's what it feels like to me too.
It's a level up game.
Before we end this show, we normally like to throw oddball questions out and get your thoughts on it. So are you ready? Here we go. How long do you give some people on this planet to start worshiping AI like a god?
Aren't we already?
Oh, elaborate with that one.
Well, there you go. I don't know. Are we? If we are, I'm not consciously aware that I'm worshiping AI like a god.
I don't know.
Like a full-on deity.
Well, just think about how we like our YouTube algorithms and stuff. You try to conform to this algorithm, which is an AI that YouTube doesn't even know how to use it, like how it works.
Right.
Or Twitter or all these algorithms, and we try to conform. Like if you're trying to like grow, like say like your guys' podcast or mine, or you're trying to conform to these metrics that aren't run by humans anymore; they're run by AI. So we essentially are worshiping and trying to conform to this, whatever these things are. I don't know.
Damn, touche.
So we're in church. So we're in AI church as we speak.
It's interesting you said that because I recently came to that because I was thinking, I should do like another business, or I'm a businessman or something like I feel like I should do something because I want to be able to make more money and all that stuff. But I finally came to a realization I just am not cut out to be in business. I'm a fucking. Turns out I'm an artist, which I thought for sure that is not it's like this is a very like this realization for me that I'm actively not paying attention to my podcast now about what subscribers and everything. I'm just going to go with what feels good, and I'm not going to try to do like I have to like do this like by this date because I suck when I have to do something because I have to do it. I hate it.
Right.
It just kills the creativity so fucking fast.
Yeah, it does.
I hate it. I really hate it. And so I'm going to stop resisting it now. So, because I was going to try to push and just try to like crank out as much as I could. Plus doing like, I'm building the cabins right now at my parents' property. And just like overwhelm myself. And then I was like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, it kills the creativity. And I think it's the exact opposite of what we are, like what we got shown. Like we're supposed to, unless that's like what drives you, like just, but it has to be like true to yourself. And that's not me. I do not like, I hate like when I go to work. So I still work. I work at a place where I teach cranes and stuff. I like doing things. I'll do way extra than I need to, but as soon as I get told I have to do something, nope.
Right.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we all searched to run our own business and chase a dream, because you're focused on living that dream, and no one gets to tell you how to,
that's right.
you know, do your dream.
Yeah.
We were kind of in the same boat with that, man. Like we do podcasts, wait like 8-10 days, see what came about. But we've had this drive. Well, because our situation is different, right? We have music behind us and we do podcasts. So we have like this dynamic. But there's this drive behind it that we just fell into, and it really fits well. And now we just can't stop. It's like the rush of it. So now we go live every day, you know, we put our music out there and our art and our expressions. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And we get to show people how we construct it. And it ultimately too, it keeps us on our instruments, and it keeps us learning our instruments. And
right.
It's a
That's
good
how you
thing.
get into the flow.
Yeah. Right. Because now you have to, it's almost like the viewers are going to want to see you do it, and you know they want to see you do it, and you know you want to do it. So it's being held accountable for something. It's like you're not going through it alone.
Yeah. But I wanted to say that to you too about our, like the podcast. Like we still love to podcast and have these great conversations with people.
Super fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when you think that you don't have anything creative to say or you're not feeling it, somebody out there is going to resonate well with that. You know,
well,
so
that's exactly it.
So don't get too caught up in not having, do it as much as you can. I'll say that. Word to the wise, do as much as you can healthy in a healthy manner.
Yeah. And then, you know, like with me, people say, oh, you're going to get writer's block. So when I get writer's block, that's not a block. It's a mental construct.
It's an obstacle
that you've created for yourself. And so walk around yourself, get in there and push buttons or refine something.
That's what I was going to say. When I get writer's block, I'll always tell him, you know what? Let's just play something that we know. And let's play something else that we know.
Yeah. Refine it.
Well, we gotta stop thinking of them as blocks, and I still do it. God, I still think there's sometimes a block in me, and then I realize, no, we should start thinking back to when we were kids. It's not a block; it's a fun obstacle to get over. So it's like, it's like the net, those nets, like in boot camp and stuff, that you want to climb that thing to get to the top, and then get down to the bottom and get to your next obstacle.
Yep, and get to the next one.
Yeah. I don't know how old you are, but I started
38.
looking at things.
Oh yeah,
38.
Yep.
Okay, I started looking at things like MacGyver when I was growing up. Like MacGyver would have a solution for every problem. You know, so I was like, I try to imagine myself as MacGyver and figure out the solution. Yeah, I don't have a bobby pin or a hair or a paper clip to, you know, but I got something to figure out this solution. And that's just been the fun of it. When you keep your childhood imagination and you figure it out. Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We got to do this again, man.
Yeah, I like this.
Fun.
Let's not wait forever. Like, there's no reason why we can't have, like, you know, talks. And I mean, shit, we both have platforms.
Right. And it's healthy.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a lot of fun. It'd be fun if we could bring in more guys or gals.
Yeah.
Right.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Kind of like a round
table.
Yeah.
Like one of those fireside chats kind of thing where you just kind of
right.
We should probably think about something going live so like people Heather, that are watching they can ask us questions.
Heather, Peter, Ben, and Anna from This Is Why You Are You. they are really insightful people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
truly amazing people. When you get a chance, check out their podcast.
Yeah, well,
it's really good.
Yeah, you guys should check out Robin's from Earth a Love Story. I think you guys would really vibe with her stuff.
Yeah, send me a link to that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll send you a link.
Vice versa.
But maybe we should do that. Like, let's not say we're going to do it and we don't. I'm holding us all accountable,
right?
Because we all vibe and we all know each other.
Fun.
So let's do this. I think it'd be nice to not just focus in on NDEs all the time. You know, I really want to focus on what happens to you guys. Like, I still feel like there's a piece of you guys that never came back, that you don't want to talk about, or
100%.
You know,
I'm pretty sure I died, and I'm something different that came back.
Right. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of how I look at it too. Like, you guys went through something and you're not fully back in.
Well, and I know, like, with the focus of mine, I don't want to just focus on the experience. It's what actually changed us.
Right.
Right.
But how did we change? I find that even more fascinating than the experience itself.
And I know I'm different. Like, we both have this, you and I both, and my brother, but it's like, I really look at myself. Like, I scrutinize myself way more.
No.
Yeah. You guys had abrupt changes. Like, you come back and your life is just, okay, you're divorced, you're fired, fuck you. I'm now on this highway. And if you're in my way.
And let me say this before we go, okay? And this is, I'm sure it's going to be on your behalf as well.
Yeah.
Whatever you hear from us today, we are in no shape or form trying to convince you of our story.
Yeah,
we have no fucking desire to do that, nor will I ever, nor will Sean ever.
I don't want to impose my shit on other people.
Right.
This was tailored to us. It was just that, our story.
That's right.
If you want to entertain it, good on you. If you don't want to entertain it, good on you. Yeah. You're loved either way. And I can say that now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm confident with saying that I love every last one of universe's human beings that are with me today in this physical life, you know?
Yep, I do too. I agree with that. And take what I always say, like, take what vibes with you and just leave the rest.
And leave the rest.
Because there's some things, like, especially with like philosophies and like Hermeticism or Stoicism or all these isms, right? There's some things that I vibe with at a time, and then a whole bunch of shit I don't, and then I'll revisit something and I'll be like, oh shit, that vibes with me now too. So it's this progression. It's like that spiral, right? So you can't just hit something once. You have to hit something to be able to see that whole, if everything's a 3D object kind of thing, you have to see it from all different sides, not just one.
Yeah, and sometimes when you hit that certain object, you're not ready for that yet.
That's right.
Sometimes you need to go to the next one and see what that was all about in the first place, and go back and revisit.
Yeah, and the big thing is to tune out all the noise. You know, everybody on YouTube has something to make your life better, or something to make you greater than.
Here's all the answers.
Yeah, whatever worked for you, but keep your bullshit to yourself.
Right.
That's right.
Everybody's different. All avatars are different, and not everybody needs to be a health nut. Not everybody needs to be in a spiritual place. Not everybody needs to have muscles and smarts and be.
We just got lucky.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I can't help that I am the way I am.
I'm a gorgeous man, and you're going to fault me for that? You can obviously see what I'm working with. No.
It's really hard to get this bad.
Damn.
Well, look, that's a wrap for us. Everybody from Symptoms of Reality side, please go view Sean's podcast and what he's doing over there.
It'll be in our description for sure.
We'll definitely
it'll be in mine too for you guys. I love you guys. This was super fun.
Yeah. So now we got a connection. We can't. I mean, this is how it starts. It's going to turn into a snowball effect. And next thing you know, we're just going to gather up a bunch of fuckheads, and we're all going to be in this huge snowball going, how the fuck did you get here?
Yeah. Exactly.
I actually think that would be way funny.
Fucking mountain, man, and you swallowed me.
Yeah.
I actually think that could be super fun if there's a whole bunch of us that are vibing all at the same time, just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are not like us, and
Yeah.
it's changed.
Well, that's
changed,
better.
You know, that's the whole point to see how it
adds
changed
to the
people.
dynamic. Yeah. Let's work on it. It's not being done. Like we can, we could do this.
Yeah.
We could definitely do these round tables.
I think it'd be lots of fun.
I know for a fact that our type of character behind our story resonates well with people that really don't believe, but they can see that, oh, these normal dudes had this experience and they're not pushing no damn Bible thumping, and you know what I mean? Like, it opens a space of, okay, I can now listen to this
and not have something shoved down my throat in return.
Right, because these dudes are just like me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. I love it.
You got any closing words for your podcast? Are you good?
I hope everyone from our collective experiences goes and visits you guys, Symptoms of Reality, and make sure to, if you can, check out your live events. I think that's super fun. And I hope everyone enjoyed this. This was like, well, I actually don't care. Well, I do, but I really enjoyed it. I thought this was awesome.
I'm with you. I'm in this experience for us right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if people want to watch it, they watch it. But I'm kind of like you. I'm over the, is this going to take off? It's kind of like, nah, I'm having fun just doing this.
Yep.
It is fun.
This is, and maybe this is as far as it goes. Maybe we don't be, off into the ether webs like we hope to be. Maybe this is it. This is okay exactly
too. Which
what
is
we
okay.
need.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what I need.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, this has rekindled that little bit of a fire again. Cause I was like, this is really rekindled.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Energy vampire.
Yeah.
That's right. Num num.
Num num. Now I'm good to go, boys.
All right. Well, let's do this soon, dude.
Okay.
We got
awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll see you, bud.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Peace.
That was fun.
That was fun, man. Like, my wife is gonna enjoy editing.
Yeah.
All of that.